Hello, I'm Kaylin. Welcome to Flowing.Zone. This is a coaching foundational video, meaning that I'm giving you some foundational lessons for coaching with me, some foundations so that you have a good base understanding of where we'll be drawing from, the things that you need to know, that sort of thing. In this video, I am joined by Tolis over here, my little turquoise parrot. Parrots are my second passion after spirituality, and I love having a parrot with me, on me, that kind of thing. So in this foundational video, I want to talk about your structured aspects. So a little background for you. Know thyself is the first causality, meaning that in life, a lot of different schools of spirituality will use this, will call back to this. I mean, it's really an old concept, know thyself. That we are here and a part of our purpose is to get to know ourselves. So if you are going to know yourself for your path of enlightenment or personal growth or spirituality, whatever you want to call it, then you have to come to understand that you are multidimensional. You are a multidimensional being, and you want to understand what that means. In this video, we're going to talk about what that means on your structured side. In other words, there is a part of your multidimensional self that is unstructured, and a lot of that really gets to be beyond what we're ever going to know or understand. And then there's some of that that is on the structured side. There are three aspects that you have on your structured or physical side. And those three aspects are your physical body, your emotional self, and your mental self. Your physical body is, of course, the body that you move, that you exercise, that you feed, and that you hopefully take really good care of. It is the physical aspect or vehicle that allows you to have this experience called life in physicality. If you were a ghost, you wouldn't have life in physicality. So it's obvious once I say it, but it's meaningful and it's good to be aware of. And this is one of your dimensions, and it is the one that is closest to structure or the most dense. The energies come in the furthest and solidified the most, if you will. The next body up you have is your emotional self. This is the body that allows you to experience life at an emotional level. So this is kind of cool and interesting from my perspective because, for example, my parrots, they have an emotional aspect to them, but basically if you take away a toy of theirs, if you take away their mate, they don't freak out the way we do. They don't have an emotional reaction the way we do. Although they really have preferences. They would rather be with their mate kind of thing. And maybe they will cry for their mate or call for their mate. So it's kind of interesting because we aren't the only ones with an emotional aspect. We're close to it. We have a strong emotional aspect that really gives us an ability to experience life from a different perspective, to see how we feel about things. And it gives us a very different angle that is really unique within life, within the universe kind of thing. We really, in a spiritual school, when you're coaching with me, it's a really good tool. And it's kind of interesting because things are changing, but it used to be, maybe before my time, like if you had feelings, you're supposed to stuff them and not. You didn't have feelings, that kind of thing. Now we're really getting to understand how important they are. For a lot of us, our feelings, our emotional self, is a part of what's going to connect us to whatever's going on, tap us into what's going on, give us a different take of what's going on, so that when I'm working with a client, for example, and we're flowing our energy, we're working on really raising our energy, we're working on changing something or improving something, manifesting something, we are going to look at it from a mental perspective and from an emotional perspective and from that physical perspective. So we're going to, in a way, process or digest whatever's happening in our lives to really raise that frequency, raise our frequency by taking it all through all three bodies. So that emotional self, how you feel about something, is really important. And what happens is that each of us has a body that we are more connected to, that we're stronger at. so that we are more, for example, I'm more emotionally, my strength is more emotional. There are some people where their strength is more physical. You could see it. They are incredible athletes. The way they move their bodies, the way they use their bodies. They've got magic in their body. And then there are other Einsteins who have magic in their mental thinking capacity. So as it is that you are working with me and you're working with a coach, you really want to get to know, not only like become really familiar with all three of your aspects, your physical, your emotional, and your mental, but you want to get to know which one your strength is, which one you're weakest at, so that you can strengthen it, and so that you can understand how it is that you're processing life, how it is that you're going to improve your life, that kind of thing. Really good core information. Then next, I already touched on it, but your third body, the next level up in your structured aspects, is your mental self. Of course, your emotional self and your mental self are not physically visible. I suppose that if you're really mad and your face is red, then your emotional self might be physically visible. But generally speaking, even though these are in structure, and when you die, you won't take your physical body with you, you won't take your emotions with you, your ability to sense emotions, you won't take your ability to think with you, because they are structured. So even though you don't really see your emotional self and your mental self, they do belong to more of that structured part of the multidimensional self that you are. Your mental self. Your mental self is the part that processes at that thinking level. Your mental self is the part that in our society we really tend to use in a dysfunctional way to try to figure everything out, to overthink things. We are extremely academically oriented, which can be good or bad, but one of the things that happens is really academics and an ability to really think and be very mentally strong, have an IQ, an intelligence quotient, tends to be more valued than having an EQ, an emotional quotient, which is really interesting because people who have a strong emotional ability actually can be stronger in an argument up against someone who has a stronger intelligence quotient, because it kind of goes a little deeper, the emotional self, if you can kind of get a sense of that. Now, my point isn't for you to value one over the other. Actually, my point is for you to kind of go, you know what? That's interesting. The physical body gives you an ability to do things more in the physical realm. I mean, it's like if you break your arm, your ability to do things is going to be more limited. Versus if you're this incredible athlete, your ability to do things physically, you have quite an ability. If you have a very strong emotional body, you're going to probably be able to work with people well. You're going to be able to persuade them well, that kind of thing. It has its strengths. If you are an Einstein and you have a very strong intelligence and a very strong mental body, that has strengths. You're going to be able to figure things out. You're going to be able to, work some magic. They each have their own magic. And so I actually really want you to get a sense of that wherever your strength is, it's a real strength, and you really want to become aware of which one is your strongest body and really start to tap into it. Now, your mental thinking self, one of the things about it is the energy translator. And what I mean by that is, or energy facilitator, I like using that word a lot too. So what I mean by that is that you can tap into energy, and your mental thinking self is the one that translates whatever energy you're tapping into visions, ideas, thoughts. So for example, if you have a desire, and desires of course come from something higher, it's going to come from a higher multidimensional aspect of yourself, maybe your source energy kind of thing. If you have a desire for something, you really have the essence. And it does not have any face, any words, anything to go with it. Your mental is the one that starts to give it some structure. That's the one that starts to go, gosh, I have a desire. Oh, let's see. Oh, to travel, to go somewhere. Does it feel like a beach? What does it look like? Your mental is the one that starts to bring it in, and then we'll start to bring it into, what does it feel like? Now that's getting down to your emotional self. What do I do there? Now that's getting down to your physical self. So as it is that you look at all three of these bodies, you are going to gain some awareness in knowing yourself and some strength. So this is really good and important to do. With these three aspects of yourself, it's important to be in touch with each of them every day, see how each is doing, and see what is needed for each one. For example, if you are overthinking life, your mental self might be like, God, I need a break. I need to go to a movie. I need to just chill out for a little while and not think. Or your mental might be saying, I'm kind of bored. I need like a puzzle. I need something to do, a project. Same with your emotional self. You tap in, you see how you are feeling, what you are needing, and maybe you find you need a hug. Maybe you find you need to go treat yourself to something nice. Like, I was working with a client and she was like, you know what, I think I'm going to just take myself out to dinner. I need to feel good. I need to go enjoy myself. You tap into your physical body. Your physical body might say, you know what, I need more veggies, just what we all want to hear, right? Or I need more rest. And you work on connecting with these aspects of yourself because you are really energy. And these are aspects. My teachers used to call them tools. So you work with these aspects and you want to keep them as if they were tools. You really want to keep them in good shape so that they are readily available to you. The most obvious is your physical body. You want to keep your physical body healthy and well functioning so that you have a good experience. When you have a cold, for example, and you're sick, your ability to do things really gets diminished, right? Your physical body pulls down on your emotional self. So then when you're sick, you also don't feel very happy. You kind of feel a little blasé, that kind of thing. And your ability to think isn't as good. That's not when you're going to have your inspired thoughts. That's not when you're going to want to take on that project and create something new and exciting, that kind of thing. So that's a good, nice, concrete example of how important it is to take care of all three of your aspects because they are also interconnected and one can pull another one down, kind of thing. And then you're going to have a harder time just being, but also doing whatever it is that you want to do. And certainly you're going to have a harder time manifesting the life that you prefer or getting in the flow of changing something in your life that you want to shift or change around. So that is your structured aspects of the multidimensional self that you are. In the next video, we will talk about some other aspects to your multidimensional self. We'll talk about your inner world and your outer world that are really both just energy. Thanks for joining me, and here's to some great coaching.